Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Sakht Cricket. I always find that hard to pronounce, even though it's in my mother tongue. So I think it's been a while since we put out a video. We are trying to get back on track. We're trying to create a bit of a schedule. You guys can let us know in the comments when would you like us to upload a video because there's so much cricket going on. So we feel that we do want to keep on track. But let us know in the comments, what schedule fits you guys because I think there's a lot of people that do watch us across the world. So we may have to figure some time that works for everybody. Anyway, getting back into the video, I think today we're going to focus on the India game, which India unfortunately lost. We'll talk about why. And the second game, the second test match, which is due to start, I think, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, if I'm not
Yep,
mistaken. The game's in Edgbaston.
2nd July.
2nd July, yeah. It's an interesting venue for India. I think we were just talking about the fact that they've never won there. And then I'm hearing that it's going to be a seamer friendly track. So we'll see. We'll talk about that, I think, in the second half of the video. So kind of just doing a bit of a analysis on what happened. And this is just my opinion. I think a couple of things, due to why I think India lost. First was I think the fielding failures were pretty glaring. Like they dropped 6 catches, um, especially against a team like England in their own backyard. Dropping six catches, I think, is criminal. Then I think even though their batting was dominant, which is what India is known for, although arguably over the last 5 years or so, they have also produced a bunch of good bowlers, which is why they've been able to perform well overseas. But I think other than Bumrah, there was not a lot of support when it comes to the bowling. Everything else was pretty one-dimensional. I think that played a huge role because Test cricket is still a game of like it's a team game, and one player can't really change the fortunes of a test match. It may happen in one days or T20s, but test match is fairly different. So I think that's what played a huge role as well. Again, but with India's, even though they I think they scored like 5 centuries, but still they had lower order collapses, right? In both innings. I think the first one, I think if I'm not mistaken, they lost like 7 for 41, like 7 wickets for 41 runs. And then I think the second one was also similar. I think like maybe 5 or 6 wickets for like 30 odd runs, which is, I mean, that's if you that's basically gonna wipe out whatever you did from a top order perspective. So I think those three things were probably, in my opinion, the biggest reasons why India lost. Shubman Gill's captaincy was, again, it's too early to judge, but it, wasn't really. I didn't see anything. I didn't see any like interesting field settings. It was just like plain test match captaincy, but obviously he still needs some time to grow, even though he did perform well with the bat. So anyway, what do you think?
So it's actually interesting, like everything that I've been hearing online and everything that I've been reading online, people are talking about where India lost and they're blaming it on, like you did, like dropped a lot of catches. I think I read a stat somewhere that said they dropped 6 catches and it cost them 250 runs across 2 innings, which is obviously a big deal. Bowling didn't have bite. They had batting collapses, but no one's actually talking about the fact that England actually played a really good game. Like chasing down 350 plus on the last day, like you have to give them credit. They got it done.
Agreed.
At no point did they seem under pressure, and at no point did it seem like they even wanted to have a draw. Like you knew right from the get go that they were going for a win. And like some examples of how you say that England actually won the game, right? Like Jadeja comes on and Duckett basically decides that he's going to take on India's best spinner, or in fact, their only spinner in the first Test match. And he started reverse sweeping him to the point that Jadeja actually lost his line length. Like he didn't know what to do. And it took him a while to figure out that maybe I should go back over the wicket as a lefty and try and target the left and maybe negate the reverse sweep. But even when he did try and do that, Ben Duckett still figured out a way to
He
score
was
runs
too
against
set
him,
by
right?
then anyway.
So like they played really well. Like they held their nerve. They were on the money for the run rate. At no point did you think that, well, India really has a chance. Yes, they dropped a couple of catches. Jaiswal actually dropped a few, but there's no saying that even if they had held those catches, the rest of the guys wouldn't have been able to get the job done, right? Like,
So you're saying that it's not that India, they did make mistakes, but it's not that India lost the game. It's that England just didn't give them a chance to win.
no, England beat them. Like,
Mm.
to get the game that deep, and then I can tell you that if it was any other captain, even if it wasn't Shukmil Gill, it was even if it was Kohli, when they were sitting there at the beginning of the day thinking that England needs to chase the 350 down, they're thinking, well, we actually have a pretty good chance. Like, especially knowing how England is going to play, they're going to give
Mm.
them chances, which they did, and they didn't take them. They're going to come out aggressive, and if you bowl in the right places, like, it's not going to be that easy to score runs, especially on a last day track where the rough is pretty big and it was turning. So they beat them. Like, they played really well on the last day. They seemed like they were mostly evenly matched for the first 4 days, and the last day England showed that their brand of cricket, they know exactly what they're doing, and if their plans come through, then it's hard for you to beat them.
Yeah,
So that would be my view. Like, India dropping catches, that happens. Um, the collapses, that also happens. Um, we already knew going in that the bowling is going to be a bit more very Bumrah reliant because
but
they don't really
what
have
is
a lot
going
of
on with
pace.
Siraj? Just to sort of get your opinion on it, because I always thought he's pretty decent. Like, he gives good support to Bumrah, and can sometimes he's even, he can be the lead, like the kind of the wicket taking option, while
Hmm.
Bumrah sort of like slows everything down and creates pressure from one end. But he seems really off color.
I to be honest, I actually don't think he bowled bad. Like, he bowled well. Like, they, I I think most Indian pacers, if you look at the way that they were going about it, it's not that they bowled badly. It's just that England really played well.
Hmm.
So I don't think that Siraj is off. Yes, he's not getting wickets. It's the same thing that Naseem Shah is going through, right? Like, you wouldn't say Naseem Shah is bowling poorly. He's hitting the good lines and good lengths, but he's just not getting wickets because either he's doing too much or he's not doing enough. I think Siraj is also sort of facing the same problem. You also have to remember, like, they just came off of the IPL,
Yeah, they're pretty
right?
tired,
Like,
I think.
it's a lot of cricket, and then there's conversations around Bumrah to say that Bumrah is going to be rested and we have to load manage him. But you also have to remember, like, Siraj is your premier, like, marquee number two bowler.
Hmm.
So only giving preference to Bumrah and talking about load management for him, at some point Siraj is also going to start feeling it, right? Like,
Yeah,
and Pakistan cricket knows this too well. Like,
yeah.
you lost all your major premier fast bowlers to, like, lack
I
of
mean,
planning.
Shaheen Afridi, classic example. Like, he was pretty good, and then he just became useless.
Yeah, Shaheen Afridi, Naseem Shah is kind of like everybody's saying, "What? Why is he not picking wickets?" They destroyed Hasanullah Khan. Hassan Ali wasn't physio break. There's plenty of examples. Like, the point here is that you can't just focus on one guy. Like, you bowl in pairs and you have a bowling team. Um, just managing Bumrah and his schedule will likely result in overexertion and potential injuries for Siraj down the road.
Yeah. And speaking of Bumrah, I think if we segue into the second test,
Hmm.
I think Bumrah is not going to. I don't think he's going to be a part of the game. I think they might bring in somebody like Arshdeep Singh. Even though Arshdeep Singh is, Akashdeep is also good in, not good. He was decent, like he was fine. I think Arshdeep is a better option, especially if it is a seaming friendly track. I don't know if it's a seaming friendly track, but overcast and rain has always been that's an England thing anyway, especially
I
during the
think it's going to
summer.
be a couple of things, right? Like, so India has two problems. One, they obviously need to figure out how to sit Bumrah out. They're thinking, well, 2 or 3, maybe 3 days of this match might be rained out, so
Hmm.
there's a high likelihood that it'll all probably end up in a draw. So do you risk playing him for 2 or 3 days and then just tire him out?
Yeah,
Uh, but on the other side, like, they had two collapses in 2 innings. So do you then do a like for like replacement and bring in another bowler is like a received thing, or do you not think about someone like Reddy, like Nitin Kumar Reddy, and then you can bat and bowl,
yeah,
and then basically just rely on Siraj and get him to do the bulk of the work. You can, or you think about a spinning. like another
Yeah, like
spinner in
Kuldeep
there.
Yadav.
Yeah, someone like a Kuldeep, other different angle,
Yeah.
lefty, creates problems for a lot of right-handers. So, and
But his
England's,
Test cricket record is all right, right? Like it's not anything to.
I don't, well, like the whole team's record is not that great.
I mean, it's a
Like
very
if you
young
look at,
team, but
it's a
Kuldeep
young
has
team,
been playing for
so
a while. Yeah,
I know, but he hasn't really played a lot of Test cricket.
yeah,
So he's in the squad now. Like they've taken him. So there must be a reason why he got picked, right? So
yeah.
my thing is that they have to figure out what they want to do. Do they want to, do they think that, okay, well, our batting is fine, we just, it was a freak collapse and it happened twice, we're going to make sure it doesn't happen again and we just need to replace another bowler? Or do you deepen your batting lineup, bring in someone like a Reddy, and then hope that the rest of your bowlers can get 20 wickets? I think what India's really trying to figure out is that how important is it for us to get 20 wickets?
I
And
mean, if you ask
that
me, I
basically makes
always
the
have
game.
to get 20 wickets in order to win a Test match. It's very hard to win a
It
Test match
depends, right?
otherwise.
Like if you can, and then see the thing with playing against England is that you always feel like if Bazball doesn't come off that day
You're in the game.
and you get them out cheap and you put up a really big score, then you're basically set.
Hmm.
So it, they will give you chances. So even if a bowler like Reddy, and we saw this with Sudarshan in the not Sudarshan, what's the guy's name?
Ooh.
They had another pacer in there. I forget his name right now, but he came out and he took 3 wickets,
Hmm.
right? And he wasn't
Hmm.
bowling well. He wasn't
Like
really
those were
bowling well, and
that was just in England also giving away wickets because they give
yeah,
you
yeah,
chances,
Shardul
right?
Thakur, right? Like Shardul
Yeah,
Thakur came out and took 3 wickets. So people were like, well, he didn't really bowl well, but then he justified why he was in the team.
yeah,
So Reddy could come out and do a similar spell, take a couple of wickets because England's going to give you chances, and then you actually have a pretty decent batter in your
yeah.
team.
Like you deepen the batting, so then you.
Yeah.
But the
So
thing
I
is, if
think
you're
that,
collapsing, then I don't really
yeah,
know if.
yeah. So I don't know if it's early enough for them to hit panic button and think, well, maybe we should add in another batter who can maybe bowl a little bit. It'll all come down to what the weather forecast. I think what they're probably going to do is wait till the next few hours, essentially, and figure out whether they want to play Bumrah or not. Um, and if Bumrah sits out, then it'll come down to, if they think the pitch is going to spin, you're probably going to see someone like a Yadav in there. And if they're not going to see spin, I don't think Erstead will get a place. I think that they'll probably go with Reddy. That's my
Yeah,
gut, but then we'll see.
yeah, it makes more sense. I would actually go with Kuldeep Yadav,
Hmm.
just because he creates like it's an interesting angle as you said that he creates and can create problems for England. Even if
Yeah,
it doesn't spin as much, he still has enough variety, I think, to be able to bug the batsman. So that's what I
yeah,
would do is to change it up,
yeah,
because even in putting in an extra batsman, like if you're collapsing like that, that's not really going to do anything.
yeah,
It's a different problem. That's more mentality, because it's not like the batting depth that they have is not enough, right? Like it's pretty good.
yeah.
So there's a different problem there. I think putting in an extra batsman is not going to do anything.
Even England, like things are interesting there too, right? Because you potentially have a test match that may not actually go 5 days because of
Yeah,
rain.
yeah.
Um, they're
So they
thinking
may play
they want to
differently.
bring in Archer,
Mm.
like, so. Do they want to take that chance now, or basically go with the same squad that they played the first test match with, knowing that this will probably be a draw anyway, and then wait for Archer to go into 3 or 4, knowing that by the fourth or the fifth match, Mark Wood is also going to be fit.
I think I read today that England is going in unchanged. Sorry, not unchained.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah,
more sense, right? Because
yeah.
it's a 5 test series. If the second one ends up being a draw, then India
It's
knows
fine.
they need to basically win two to take the trophy.
Yeah.
And England knows that, okay, even if we do lose the third game, the final two are, well, like one of the, like the final 2 games. If you have Wood and Archer both back,
It's a bad,
um,
bad, bad
and if it
news.
ends up being a pacey or a bouncy track, they could cause problems.
Yeah, especially Archer because of his
Mm.
the way he's pretty
Yeah,
good.
even Wood is like, if he has a good rhythm, then he's hard to play, man.
Yeah, is it?
So it's going to be an interesting series. Like I guess for, like, depending on how the squads get announced, you'll get a pretty good understanding of how they're both basically viewing the match.
Yeah,
And if it ends up being a draw, then the series becomes really interesting.
Yep. No, I'm looking forward to this match. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I think we can wrap it up here. We'll definitely come in again, maybe at the tail end of the game, just to do another bit of a recap. But again, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.
Right, guys. See ya.